Yay. Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine, aka the High Heeled Gamer, and it's Wednesday. And we have rebranded, which I will make an official announcement. But now we are the Late Night Nerd Show. So I'm super excited, super happy. It's a big announcement that Jack and I have to do eventually. One of these days, we'll do it. But for today, I'm actually super excited because we have the artist, creator, and writer of Crit Comics. And uh, correct me if I'm wrong, you're also like the creator and owner of Homebrewed Comics
Yes.
LLC. Okay,
Yep.
sweet. Chris. Hi,
So,
Chris.
hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing well. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have Homebrewed Heroes, which eventually will release the game that we've created that writes the book, and then we have Crit Comics, and we also have another comic book we just unlocked in the campaign we're doing now. We unlocked the first 4 pages of that. It's called Mr. Wizard and Friends. It's based off of another D&D campaign we did that was completely off the rails. So I made it a canonical TV show in the world of Crit. So now you get to watch the TV show that happens in Crit that we wrote in D&D.
Oh, okay. I was wondering like how it all came together and stuff like that. So when you say game, you mean like a board game or you mean like computer
Oh
game?
no, I mean like it's a D&D game. Yeah, we made the module for it. We've got 600 hours of balancing and playtime in it. So yeah,
Dang. That sounds fun. You see, we were discussing earlier, I like to watch people play D&D. I'm not very good at like the actual game D&D, but we have the board game, the big boxed ones that come with like the figures and stuff like that. I'm good at that. But when it comes to yeah,
yeah.
we have that one. We have that one. We have the Rick and Morty one. And then there are these really big, big boxes that are like $100, I think it is. Um, and those are quick, like easy to jump into style D&D games. Those are great. The campaigns and stuff, I was like, "Ooh, this is above my knowledge level." Like I was terrible. Like I was just my DM was very nice, thankfully, but I was terrible at it. So how did you get into playing D&D?
Oh well, that's actually the entire background of Crit.
Oh,
So
sweet.
about 10 years ago, well, going on, yeah, about 10 years ago, I'm from North Carolina, and I was moved for work to Boone, North Carolina. My boss at the time was like, "Hey, you need to go up there. We're going to relocate you, and here's your roommate. He works up there too." So I was like, "Okay, cool." Didn't know anybody, and I worked at GameStop. I was a DM for GameStop, and so I start the job, and I meet my roommate, and then I start meeting all these other nerdy guys that went into GameStop every day, and they all wanted to be my friend, which was really weird for me. And I was like, why? Why do you want to, just buy your games, go away kind of thing. And I wound up getting into a D&D game that they were playing. They kept asking me, and finally, and I was like, listen, I'm a nerd, but I'm not that big of a nerd. And they were like, just come and check it out. So I went in, and I thought it'd be good for, store morale, camaraderie, things like that. Maybe I'd enjoy it. And plus, Boone, North Carolina, there's not much else to do. And so I played, and I had a good time. And the core group of guys that played are who make up Crit. We played for a little bit over 2 years straight. Every Sunday was pizza and D&D.
Whoop.
Moving around. Uh,
Sorry.
um, and so, that's what really got me into everything, because we played our own homebrewed version of Mass Effect. Because
Oh,
I didn't want to play orcs and goblins and these other things that didn't really appeal to me out the
okay.
gate. And the DM that we had was like, I want to play something that everyone can relate to. And we all liked Mass Effect. So he homebrewed this entire Mass Effect campaign, and we played that for 2 years. We still talk about that campaign. That's how much fun it was. And
Wow.
so about 3 years ago, I started working on this idea for a superhero campaign. We had tossed around the idea, but never did it. And I started working on mechanics and I put together all this stuff. And then I just called the guys and I said, hey, it's been 10 years, but do you want to play? And it just turned into Crit. So yeah, I've been playing D&D since Mass Effect. I've had, multiple campaigns. Right now I'm playing like 2 or 3 campaigns. Yeah, it's fun. It's a good way to, get everybody together, eat some food, kill some
Yeah.
goblins or something, and call it a night.
When you get into like multiple campaigns like that, do you not like confuse your characters and story? Like are you able to keep all of that straight?
Yeah, I like having multiple. So I'm a DM in one campaign, and I'm a player in 2 other campaigns. Yeah, you can see all my books right here. In my other campaigns that I play in, I like to play different characters because it just keeps me interested. And it also helps me as a DM because I can understand those characters a little bit more. So it's entertaining. I had one campaign that I played 6 different characters, which was quite a trip. I had a character who would shapeshift into different characters.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Yeah,
how do you keep it? But that makes sense. I'm like, how do you? I couldn't even keep straight my own character, like 6 alone. But that's
yeah,
pretty
and different
cool.
voices for all of them. And I don't really have a very feminine voice, so I took on this voice of a woman that had maybe smoked for 50 years, like a very raspy kind of voice. Um, Her name was Growilda. She was a witch of some kind. So, you know, I have a lot of fun. It's a good way to escape.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I tell everybody is D&D is the best escape because you just get to do all these fantastic things with almost no repercussions unless your DM is hates you and like mine does, but for good reason. For good reason.
For
I
good
think in
reason.
one of the campaigns right now, I was mad because we were sent out to kill all these goblins. I killed all the goblins, and we were supposed to get paid for it. And the guy didn't pay me, so I said, "Well, I'm going to destroy your town because he's the king of this town." So I took a job as a chef in like the main restaurant in the town, and I started poisoning people. I poisoned a vampire werewolf person who hated me, and I said, "Oh, well, you're a vampire werewolf." So I killed her, and then I took her blood and I infected myself, and now I'm infecting the entire town with vampirism. And
How do you think nobody would want to watch that? Like, I'm invested. I'm like, I'm ready to hear. Like, I'm so invested. That sounds like,
my
yeah.
entire team hates me. They keep yelling at me because I'm killing everyone, and they're like, "Why do you want to kill this entire town?" I'm like, "Because the king didn't pay me." And the DM we have right now he's relatively new to DMing me, and a buddy of mine who's been my DM for 10 years. He's actually Caliber in our book. Him and I were talking, and he said the only way to keep you invested is to give you someone to hate. He said, so he gave you the guy in charge of the entire town to hate, which was like a really bad idea. He said you just need to like funnel your anger into a different character. So we'll see. Actually, after this, I will be going over there and playing. So
Oh,
see
sweet.
how that goes.
Nice. Nice. So you guys get together once a week, twice a week?
So this campaign gets together once a week. Usually, Crit gets together once a month because those guys we're trying to do a little bit more now that some schedules have opened up. But for a while, it was really rough.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Crit.
Yeah. So Crit is a homebrewed superhero campaign, and the book itself follows the the adventures of the players. The whole setting that I gave my players when I began was you wake up tomorrow after your first day at work and you now have superpowers. On the first session of the campaign, there's an accident at the work at the their employer, which causes them to have superpowers. Their employer figures it out and sees it as a way to market a product. His product being superheroes. I myself have 20 years of sales experience, so it was my idea. I was like, hey, if I was the boss, I would say, hey, I have superheroes. Give me money, I'll give you protection. And it didn't really work out in my benefit because they always run off and do their own thing. So they uncover some bigger plot lines and some supervillains. And where we're at now is the end of chapter 1. So this is our 6th issue. And they've really uncovered the bigger plot that they've become part of that they didn't realize in the very beginning.
So you said this is issue
6. It is
6.
number 5, but it is the 6th issue because we have 0 through 5.
I was going to say because there's that 0 issue
That
that's
one throws
going.
me off. Originally, we weren't going to have it, and after issue 2, a friend of mine found my original drawing of issue 1 or issue 0 and said, "Hey, I want to redo this for you."
Oh
So
wow.
we were blessed to, have him come in and do that.
So it's going strong on Kickstarter, correct?
2 days left. We are, as of about 20 minutes ago, I think $4,240 with 104 backers, which we
Nice.
funded in 26 minutes. I just put out a final stretch goal. If we break $4,500, I will pick 3 names out of the physical backer tiers, and they will get t-shirts, hoodies, and I have this little guy who's one of our characters in the book.
Oh my gosh.
Little stuffed kitty. He has a drinking problem, and he smokes cigars, and he speaks in riddles, and he can teleport and disappear.
Makes sense.
Yeah, he's a familiar in the world of D&D.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, we were I was looking at the character sheet on your website, which we will put the link here in a second. Actually, let me do that right now. And my daughter had seen the cat and she was like, "Oh, it's so cute." I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, so one of the reasons that's back on the Kickstarter was because there was a lot of people that got the cat on the first Kickstarter, which was issue 4, and then they emailed me and said, "Hey, as soon as I opened it, my kid took it." So I had to put it back on there for anybody that wants to get it, and then I'll put it on the website.
Oh, okay, good. Yay. So we could get the kitty.
Yep.
What is
I'm
his
gonna
name?
put it
Does
on
he
the
have
website now, but I thought that might be conflicting, so just do it all in one spot.
what is the cat's name again?
C.R.I.T.
Somebody.
Yep.
So how did you come up with like these characters, or was it like you played the D&D, your group had come up with the characters and your names, and you were like, I'm keeping that.
They went through a few different names. I haven't, had anything to do really with the core characters. I've had some influence on some things, and I've given some ideas. C.R.I.T. was my creation because Spectre in real life is allergic to cats, and he's my other DM, the one that has to deal with me murdering an entire town. So he equally tries to annoy me, and he annoyed me to the point where I gave him a familiar that was a cat, and he was allergic to it, and it only speaks in riddles. So
Does it really?
yeah, it can speak normally. It chooses to speak in riddles because it wants to annoy him. So that yeah, C.R.I.T. was 100% my creation, and then the main characters were Caliber, Spectre, Bones, Reach, and Boulder. Those are all made by my friends. That is really, it's funny because we've had a lot of people come in and say, "Oh, your characters are awesome," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's them in real life," because the situation was that you gain superpowers, so they go at every situation as in, if I had this power, how would I handle this? And so you can really see how you probably don't want to be around my friends if they have superpowers in real life. One's going to try and throw fireballs, one's going to punch everything, and one's going to shoot everything.
That's fine. It fits perfectly with me. I'm a big punch something kind of gal, so it's fine. It'll be great. I'll blend in just fine.
It'll work out great.
Yeah. So you're also an artist as well.
Yes.
What I love to ask, what came first, the art or the writing?
The writing, because so what happened was we played the first session, and we talked about it for a month. So in that month, I decided I was going to draw it, and I had never drawn a comic book before, so I just started drawing. And I came up with some ideas and some concepts, and that kind of grew into the issue 0 that I didn't release. And so I came to, it took a few months. This wasn't something I learned overnight. So I came in with the book, and they liked it. They thought it was cool. It wasn't that great. In the grand scheme of things, it's not the most amazing book. It's good for what it is, but my wife is a phenomenal artist. I have a lot of her work on this wall over here. And when I showed her the original book, she looked at it for a minute and said, "Oh, that's nice," or that she said, "That's okay." She
Oh,
said, "It's okay," and she handed it back to me and went back to watching TV. So that kind of destroyed me a little bit. And
morale booster.
yeah, I love her to death. She was my best friend for 11 years before we even got married. And you know, yeah. So when I hand that to her and I get, "It's okay,"
It's okay.
it was like just a knee right to the groin. And so the next day I broke out my iPad and I started work on some stuff. And instead of being defeated or having an ego about anything, I said, "Okay, so what can I do better? What do I need to fix?" And she really helped me. So issues 1, issue 2, issue 3, every time I finished a page, I would go to her. "How can I make this better?" And she would
Aw.
continually give me feedback. She'd erase the God, some of it was so annoying because she would, especially in the beginning before she knew the program, she would just erase things, and I'm like, "Don't do that," because yeah, and um, that was fun in itself. But now she came issue 4. I remember I'd come in one night and I'd shown her a page, and she said, "Hey, you're getting it. I don't think I really need to edit your work anymore."
Aw.
And that was awesome. And then in book 5, I showed her something, and she's like, "His ankle looks like it's broken." So, uh, you know, she fixed that for me. But if that's all we fix in a book, I think I'm doing well.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just laughing because you sound like me and my husband. I'm a writer. He's not so much. So every time he shows me something, I'm like, you know what? I'll just write it. It's fine. Just leave it right there. I know where you're going with it. I gotcha. And he's always like, leave it alone. I like what I wrote. And I'm like, yeah, but it could be better. So it just reminds me of that whole thing.
I
So
think she picks her battles now because she didn't know comic books much before we
oh,
started
okay.
this adventure. She had probably read a few of them in her life, but wasn't like couldn't tell you an artist name or anything. And when I first started, hey, what's up, Zach? You know, I I hadn't really studied up on many artists other than the guys from the '90s that I followed,
Mhm.
and I showed her an artist that I was fond of in the '90s, whose art has kind of fallen off in the past few years, in my opinion. And I said, "Well, look at this guy's stuff. Like it's not all anatomically correct. He's got an arm that's bent behind. I don't see his shoulder." And she said, so she took Google and she started looking through her phone, and she's like, "But he's been doing it wrong for 30 years." She's like, "So that's his style. His style's incorrect." And she said, do you want to be wrong, or do you want to be right?" And most of
Dang.
my guys are fans of anime, manga, things like that, and they're not really big comic guys. They wanted it to be right. They wanted as accurate as possible. They're not really tough on me.
Mhm.
They'll give me some critiques like that doesn't look right. But I knew they would want to see it right. So I said, "Yeah, we're gonna we're gonna do this the right way." And so that's kind of where my art started growing from.
I was going to say, so if with this being your first when you first started being like the first type of comic book art style, how big of a learning curve outside of your your wife's wonderful critiques, how big of a how big of a learning curve was it for you?
uh it was tough. I wouldn't say it was. I come from a very talented family, so my dad is just like an absolutely phenomenal artist. My mother worked on like backdrops and things for Broadway plays, so it
Wow.
wasn't it wasn't terribly hard because I've also been drawing most of my life.
Okay.
I never drew comic
Comics.
books and anatomically correct things. I did a lot of abstract work. I never really got into, you know, comics or anything. So it was just a matter of learning the space, how to properly, lay out a panel and those things. So that way I could direct the art correctly.
Okay.
Whereas before it was like I would do. I remember I smashed a whole bunch of CDs one day and I threw them down with glue on a piece of cardboard. And then I just looked at the shapes and I said, okay, let's make something out of this. That was kind of the art that I did. Or I would take a picture and I would just start using a Sharpie all over it until I found shapes and I'd start moving them around until they were something.
Oh, wow.
Now I have to actually draw what's recorded on, because I record all the sessions and then I turn it into the comic. So I'm listening in one ear and I'm drawing and I'm like, okay, so this is the flow. All right, we're going to omit this because this is stupid. I can't believe they did this. And then I'm like, oh, that's really funny. That has to go in. I can't believe they did it, but it's hilarious. And that's kind of how I start my flow now. I think the biggest hurdle I had was getting to an artistic quality that I felt was good enough. I'm very proud of the work. So when you read the book, what's cool is you get to see my artwork get better in every issue. And I wouldn't have released issue 0 because it wasn't the best I could do. Yeah. Issue 1, you get, and I can share some of the pages.
Yeah. Because like I said, I didn't want to do any spoilers or anything that. So
this is on the Kickstarter itself. So we'll share that. Okay. And so people can kind of get an idea. So here's, issue 1. This is all me right here. I pay a colorist. I don't do the coloring. So most of the reason we go to Kickstarter is because I focus all of my effort on my line work. So this is issue 1, and then you get to issue 2. So there's Boulder, Caliber. What's funny is in issue 0, you see that Caliber originally wore this suit, and so this guy's we call him Caliber Light. He's in Dungeons and Dragons, if my players make me work on something for them and then they don't use it, it comes back in the form of an enemy to fight them later.
Oh, that's awesome.
So here's the cat, and here's Spectre using his flames on my big samurai sumo warrior dude that everybody hates. He's actually based off someone in real life we don't like. And then here's issue 4, and I haven't released anything for issue 5 yet. I've just started some of the colored pages back. But issue 4 is the first book. You get to see everybody unmasked, and they're arguing about music in this one scenario. So you get a lot of table banter, makes it into the story as mission to mission banter, or when they're driving, we kind of fit it in, and you get to really understand their friendship and their personalities through their ridiculous banter. This is probably my favorite page where so insert song is, insert your favorite Kenny Loggins song. So it's playing, Kenny Loggins was playing and they were arguing over which song was the best at the table. And so when we went to the script, thank you. When we went to the script, we were like, well, which song do we put in? Because we couldn't agree. And so, we just put insert song there. And Austin, who's the youngest guy, was like, I don't even know any of these songs, And he clearly he would have known 1 or 2 of them. But they were just arguing back and forth. And then when we went to read the script before I went to lettering, we had never changed insert song. And so when I was reading it, it just got more funny every time I read it. And I said, we're just going to keep insert song, because then people can literally insert whatever song they want into the book.
Yeah. And that's smart. I like that.
I got a lot of really good feedback over this, and it was just a good little accident. Let's
give a shout out to your colorist. Who was the colorist on this?
Oh yeah, Cristiano Cruz is amazing. I have little Sunday comics that are going in the back of the trade paperback.
Oh, fun.
Caliber's nickname is Picasso because he likes to either carve or spray paint penises and everything whenever we're in game. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm working on my spray painting. So he carries a can of spray paint that he does little trees and clouds that look very inappropriate.
That's hilarious.
So, and awesome. Here's all the tiers that we've got. I try to make everything very affordable. So you get digital copies as low as $3 for 1 issue, $6 for all of them. Digital doesn't cost us anything, so I don't ask for a ton. These are all the the prints. So standard edition, you've got. I have a cover artist, Mohaba Lubison, who has done 4-5 covers for me now.
Oh, wow.
So he's part of my team. He's done so much awesome work for us, and so he always gets the standard cover. And Robert Nix, I started working with him in book 4, and he did a cover for me. I think I have it around here. Yes, I do, right here. So he did this cover for me. It is C.R.I.T.
Oh, wow.
drunk on the ground, smoking a cigar, just having a good time, and of course Spectre, taking a picture of him because no one's ever going to believe that the cat is an alcoholic.
Oh my gosh.
And what's funny is in book 4 he's kind of absent because of it, and then in book 5 when he comes back he is totally hungover and yelling at everybody for being loud. So,
Awesome.
So Robert Nix gets all my funny covers, and in book 5, there's my wife right there.
Oh, I was going to say, you have a fan.
Yeah. Oh, she's like my super fan.
Oh.
But in book 5, we have a scene where Boulder is pretending to be sick, and the line is, "If the cream is sour, do not devour." So I messaged Robert and I said, "Hey, could you do a cover where Boulder is on the ground, Caliber's cradling him, and there's a bunch of bad taco shells around him, and he looks sick." And he sent me the cover of this one, and it was just awesome. So
She's a
he gets all
fan.
my fun ones. Yeah. C.R.I.T. is, she loves C.R.I.T. I think it's because he's based off our cat, and our cat is a huge
I was
jerk.
going to say, y'all been peeking in here because that sounds like an awful lot like me. Like, I don't really smoke cigars, but if I get a good one, I'm not turning it down.
Yeah,
If my dad brings me a good one, my dad, he doesn't often smoke cigars, but sometimes he brings, he buys some and he's like, "You want one?" I'm like, "I'm not gonna say no." It's almost like, that sounds familiar. So
I
tell
don't
us a
smoke
little bit.
or drink, but my cat in the book does because it's
Does
fun.
Oh, no, that's me. I'm that person. So he's starting to sound like my spirit animal. So tell us a little bit about Heroes LLC.
So originally the plan was to release the game first. So I created Homebrewed Heroes to release the game under, and then the comic became a thing real quick. It just kind of took off. We released issue 1 on Kickstarter, and I thought we'd just do one, and then we do maybe a module for it and kind of see where it went. And more people were going after the comic. So I said, "Hey, how about we kind of change direction and let's finish the comic, and then when the comic is done, we'll have a world that's changed at the very end that's reflective of what we wanted the world to be."
Okay.
When you play the game. So it'll be a hybrid mix of modern world with Dungeons and Dragons elements. And then we can release that to the player base with the rule sets and everything that we've kind of modified and homebrewed, and let them play in our world. And, I want to set up on our website somehow, and it'll take a while, but I want to set up at the end a way for people to submit their campaigns, or even stream on our channel some of their campaigns that they're playing within our world, so we can build a community base in the world of C.R.I.T. So it has its own, unique world there. And because I've seen, you have, what is it? Critical Role, they have something similar. And I didn't even know about Critical Role until we were well into this. Someone was like, "Oh, have you heard of Matt Mercer?" And I was like, "No, I have no idea." And so a quick Google search, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's awesome." And so I actually have some of their books, and I've researched some of the things that they've done. And really, I talk about this. Star Wars is a collective, aside from, I think, Austin, because he's the youngest in the group. So he's a Pokemon guy. The rest of us grew up on Star Wars. And I love, if you look up there, I've got, all these Star Wars books that I've read over the years. I've got Star Wars next to me. Star Wars is a huge inspiration.
Yeah, I was noticing the Star Wars and the Batman book
earlier.
Yeah,
I'm pretty simple. Star Wars, Batman, and it made me happy. And originally when Lucas was getting all these books going, it was because people were submitting ideas to him, for stories that were happening in his universe. And then they would work on that and, make them canon. So eventually I'd like to be able to let people play their games and submit them to us, and ones that fit within the canon of the universe, we can create, short stories within the Crit universe of those characters.
Oh,
So
that's
I think that would
cool.
be kind of cool to allow people that ability to, play in our sandbox. So
Yeah. Actually a great way to build a community that way too, because there it's immersive, it's inclusive, everybody's welcomed with their ideas. So are you like on Twitch or on YouTube?
so I have a YouTube channel and I have a Twitch channel that I just haven't really done anything with because I don't know the platforms that well. We didn't get, I never really even used any of the digital platforms until COVID. We were all, tabletop everything.
Hmm.
And COVID hit and we couldn't play, face to face anymore. So I had to start using Discord. And then we created a Twitch channel and I played one day on there, in 6 hours of a game on Twitch. I think we had 40 or 50 people that checked it out, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, but I was like, man, like people really want to watch me roll die and just talk. It was interesting to see, that. So I think maybe as time goes by and my schedule frees up, maybe we'll do that. I haven't really decided if we want to go that route. Boulder, Terrell, who plays Boulder, brought it up the other day how we should do that. He was like, it'd be really awesome, YouTube and Twitch, and get people to just, even if we edit the campaign down a little bit and did it just as a video,
Hmm.
let people watch that. Maybe we could do it that way because it is still like a very, playing D&D with your friends is a unique experience, and
Hmm.
it's very, how do I put it? It's not like an emotional experience, but um, it's very personal
I was
because,
going to say it kind of bonds you in a weird way,
right,
you know what I mean?
and having people watch it live, I think would take away from some of the stuff that happens because you're always wondering, oh, did somebody hear me say that? Did I say, like, you know, there's always just those moments where you might find something funny, but somebody else doesn't,
Hmm.
right? And we won't even talk about the slap heard around the world, right? But that's a perfect example of not understanding your audience or
Yeah.
your, and I think that it's just been proven time and time again. Not everybody finds the same stuff funny,
Yeah.
and so that's where we're like, do we actually do this? Because we get real stupid at the table, and there's jokes that no one would understand. Terrell, for instance, broke Brad's leg at one point in time. Like, actually, he has metal pieces in his leg now because of a wrestling accident that they had. So, there's all these inside jokes, and he's like, well, "What if people think that I really like tried to kill him or something?"
Well, that would make for even better lore. Like, which
I'm of
one's
the
real, which
mindset,
one's fiction?
right? Like, I'm of the mindset that you can get away with just about anything if you say that you're playing a character. No, that's
Yeah.
not really me. That's my character. Um,
Well, you'll be surprised, like in 2020 and 2021, outside of like the big named people, the top three watched things on Twitch was D&D gameplay.
that's great.
So yeah, it was actually top three. Second to actually just podcasts, the just chatting section. And then I think it was Call of Duty that came in third after all of these
Oh, that's
things.
interesting because everybody watches those
Yeah.
Call of Duty and Fortnite.
Yeah. So I had actually done some research for a class of mine, and it was like 2020, the top things, and I was like, D&D came in second. Okay, D&D, I see you. But yeah, people just like that because the story is immersive sometimes, you know what I mean? And for those that have stayed long enough within the campaign, watching other people, they'll know the inside jokes as well. But the video on demand on YouTube isn't a bad idea either. So you might be onto some stuff there.
Maybe I like the idea of being able to edit it in case somebody has something personal.
Mhm.
We've had personal conversations in there because a lot of times we won't talk for a month, and then we get together and play, and we're all best friends. So
Mhm.
hey, what's been going on with you? And then you find out, oh, my life took a deep curve, and I've been going through this. It's like, oh man, I didn't
Yeah.
even know. It's like, yeah. So I would love to be able to edit some of those more personal moments out, but still give everybody the ability to connect with C.R.I.T in a different way.
Mhm.
That's why if you actually go onto the Kickstarter, there is a video there of all of us actually hashing it out and talking about the book. So
Oh,
I've got it
wow.
right on the Kickstarter. It's like an hour long or so, and it's just us at our core talking about playing D&D. And so it's actually got quite a few hits for just being on the Kickstarter. So I thought that was a good way for people to really connect with the players and see that it's more than just a story that I sit here and write. Like I don't have an editor and I don't have this massive team. We edit very little.
Okay.
Most of it is, if it didn't happen at the table, it comes out of the person's mouth somehow.
Oh, wow.
When we go to the lettering, we finish the story, we bring it to everybody, they read through, and they might change some of their dialogue just to better suit them. I love telling them, but you said it this way. It's like, well, if I had was given a chance to re-say that, I might say it this way. So it still comes from them, so it has that organic feel to it. But I don't sit here and write everything and all that. I just take it for what it is, and I like to keep it as real and from the table as possible. So that way, people are getting that experience in their
I was
hands.
going to say that it feels more organic too, because it's stuff that's actually happening and being said. So it feels more organic and more real to what. So that makes a lot of sense. So with cons coming back and stuff like that, are you doing the con circuit?
I've got 4 this year, and so I have in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've got 1 or 2 this year. I've got 1 in Maryland.
Heroes Con being one of them?
I think one of them is Heroes Con. I don't know. I got to talk to Dennis, who he's a friend of mine. He booked all these shows and was like, "Hey, you live in Winston, so just give me money when you get a chance for half the table," because he knew I was busy. And then he's like, "Hey, remember you paid me for this table?" And I was like, "I don't remember, but I'll be there. Yeah, I have a wedding that day too, so I'm going to drive down and then I'll drive back up.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'll drive back down."
You're not that far away from me. I think you're like 2 hours away from
Where
where
are
I
you at?
am. I'm in good old Goldsboro, North Carolina. I hate it
Oh,
here.
really? Crazy.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
hate it
so I
here.
know Goldsboro. Yep. I
Hate
have
it.
stores down like Ashboro, Randleman, Bisco area. So
Yep,
it's
yep.
interesting.
That's where I'm at.
Same time zone.
The joy of it all. I'm like, that's where I am.
There's a lot of stuff in North Carolina. I
There
actually,
is. There's just nothing here where I am. It's
true.
around me.
Yeah,
So I have to
Goldsboro is
travel.
a unique area, but you can get out of there real quick and find just about anything. So
Exactly. Yeah. I'm actually heading to Charlotte next weekend to hang out with some friends. And then I do the con East Coast. I'm
mhm.
more heavy in the North Carolina con, obviously, but I do East Coast cons. So I was wondering, with cons coming back and stuff like that, if you had tables, or do you just go to cons just to be like, hey, here's my card, or network and
I've
stuff?
been I've been to a couple, and I brought like a bag of comic books. Um, my printer, he made a whole batch of books that were a little bit too dark for me.
Oh, okay.
Nobody else notices the difference. Like my wife can, because of her eye. She has this ridiculous good eye, but nobody else really noticed. And so he reprinted them, and I was like, "What do you want me to do with these?" He's like, "Just keep them." So I had all these promotional copies, and so I went to a con one day. Just it's like the free pickup tables. I put them there, or if
Yeah.
I think I had a friend with me, and I started just putting them as inserts into like different places, and just it's like, hey, I would come back and they'd be gone. I'm like, cool. So somebody has it. Whether or not it winds up in the trash, who knows? But hopefully, some people check
Hopefully
them out.
somebody has it. Yeah.
I put out like
That's
100 books, so I'm hoping at least like a couple people check this
wow.
out on that.
Yeah. That's actually a smart idea. So that's
Yeah,
actually
it cost me nothing. It was nothing out of my pocket, and hopefully we got some people that checked us out. That was where did I forget what it was for work. Actually, I was there for work, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna walk around and hand my own stuff out. And so me and the guy I was working with just found places to put comic books.
that's hilarious. That's smart and hilarious. You're very resourceful. You're like, you know what? I'm here. I've got these comics.
Yep,
Mm.
yep. I flew out. It was in don't even remember where I was at. I think Indiana or something. Gamma, maybe. It was a board
Oh,
game festival. So, but there was comic books and everything else there. So everything nerdy.
sounds right up my alley. So if people want to try to get like the rest of the comics and stuff like that, that's on the website, correct?
Yeah. So if you go back to the screen I was sharing, I'll pull that up real
Yup.
quick and show everybody. So I do have the this is the trade paperback, which is on there. So that is all of chapter 1 in one book. So you could start at the beginning and end at the end in one solid book. Or I do have all the other issues available as well. So, and if you're curious and don't want to, risk on the Kickstarter, you can always download the digital copies off our website for $1.
Oh,
I
nice.
have all of them on there right now. So if you just want to check it out before you back it, you can spend $1, download the copies, and see if it's something that's interesting to you. So I tried to make that very accessible for everybody. But yeah, you can get every issue we have in this Kickstarter. Um, Starting at issue 0 right here, their first day at work,
Yeah.
and all the way to right now where they're fighting the big bad villains.
I actually glad that this page is what popped up because I really like the whole red tone of that.
Oh yeah, Nate
Um,
did this and the colors on this, and it came out perfect.
I don't remember ever seeing a comic do something like that, and it just I don't know, I just liked it so much. When I was reading it, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool to have all these panels like that. I don't know, it just sets like a different tone to the reading element of it all. And I just thought it was different and pretty cool the way it was done.
Yeah, he wanted to show the explosion, and honestly, he was doing the book completely for free. So I know he wanted to, utilize the colors in a different way. He said he was trying to. I had him on a time crunch, sadly, because we went to Indiegogo to try and get him some funding
Mm.
for it because he was going to do it for free, and he's in Australia. They shut down the country. And
Oh,
so he has like 4 kids, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm way behind on this because I have 4 kids that were all home at the same time." So
yeah.
yeah, he did that entire book, and he's doing the prologue in issue 5.
Oh,
So issue
nice.
5 is like 46, 48 pages, I think, of actual content. And so I gave him the last 8 pages, and I said, "Hey, you did the first book you did, so that way when you have the paperback in your hand, it starts with his work and ends with his work."
Nice.
And so he was like, "Yeah, I can do that. I can do that."
So the paperback also has the artwork in it too, or is it just straight words?
No, it's all the comics in one.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
okay. Okay, cool. Because I was asking because I know people that do trade paperbacks and they take out all the pictures and they just leave the words and stuff. Okay, cool. Okay.
A lot of our storytelling is show, not tell.
Mm.
So you could pick up some things in the artwork that aren't in the dialogue. I like utilizing the medium to the best that I can. So even though you might not be able to read it, you can see it, and vice versa. You might not be seeing it, but you'll read it. So that way we can you know make use of all your senses.
That's awesome. So we're actually getting very close to the end of the show. Where can people find you, keep up with the comic outside of the website, which I've put in the chat, guys?
So at Homebrewed Comics right there on Instagram is the easiest way to find me. I also have links in the profile for that for everything. Or you can go to homebrewedcomics.com. I have the links for all my social media, the Kickstarters on there. hbhcomics.com. I own that one, and then later on we bought Homebrewed Comics, so I kind of you can use either one. They go
Okay,
the same
cool.
place, and you can find the direct link to the Kickstarter on the website, or yep, it's right there too. Or you can also, if you go to Kickstarter, I think this is really cool because Kickstarter is loaded with D&D things, and when you type in crit, usually it pulls up a lot of D&D stuff. We are last I checked, when you type in crit, we pull up first, which was really cool for us.
Yes.
We don't pull up first in comic books because that's a huge, there's a whole ton of comic books in there that are just amazing. But to be able to pull up number 1 on a search for crit, I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
So you can find us in there on Kickstarter. You can go to the website and also the store. You can always, like I said, download um, any of the issues if you just wanted to check out issue 0 or 1 and just see if crits for you. Awesome. I'm actually getting a T-shirt for the next con that says "Do you like D&D?" Because I did a group con with a few of my friends that do other books, and they were so mad at me. They were like, "You have the best pitch." I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "You just sat at the table and people would walk by." And I don't know if you can see the little stuffed die I have behind me. My wife picked that out. We were out one day and she said, "You need that. That thing is awesome." And she's like, "You can roll it." I said, "I can't use that in game. We don't play in a big room that big." So when we were going to the con, she's like, "Bring your dice." So I put it out on the table. And as people walked by, I was like, "Do you like D&D?" And so many people wanted to check our book out because I had a good opening line. So I'm getting a T-shirt now that says, "Do you like D&D?"
Nice. Yeah, it's all about that elevator pitch. How quickly can you get them hooked within that first sentence? And you definitely nailed it. Because I would have stopped too. I was like, yes, I like D&D. I'm not good at it, but I like it.
Well, that's all that matters. If you like D&D, you like organic storytelling, you like action and adventure, well, then you'll like Crit.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all of it in a little bundle.
Definitely. I enjoyed what I've gotten to read from it. I thought it was pretty cool. Like I said, I enjoyed the red artwork as well as the story itself. So I thought it was I just thought it was interesting. And it's a good twist too. It's like you said, you take the D&D campaign and turned it into a book, which was
Yeah,
so
we actually won for issue 1 the year that came out. We won an award for best twist on the ending. And the review came out for issue 1, and it was like, it's your very basic, origin comic for a superhero. And then this happens, and you're like, WTF. And I said, that's the D&D element right there, because everything can go south real quick if they roll bad. And I will tell you, my guys tend to roll bad. Boulder rolls so badly, we call it the Boulder Roll. I've given him in game like additional die to roll. I'm like, so, because he's just so bad. I don't know if his dice are bad or if he uses a program. Like we played last week, and I'm like, dude, you had 4 crits and you did only like 6 damage in all of those crits because you rolled so bad.
Oh, okay. I thought I was bad. No, that sounds terrible. Like I'm no matter what game it is, it doesn't matter. If it has dice, I'm rolling bad. Like that's just how it is. It doesn't matter.
It's funny because I have this die right here, and this one rolls very well. And so I don't know if it's weighted weird, but
I was going to say, is it the weighted ones? Because I have a purple set of the cast. What is it called? Die cast, I think it is. The heavy weighted ones. I roll those bad too.
Oh, well, I roll that one and I get crits all the time on it. So I had to stop rolling it because I came real close to killing them one time. And I was like, I crit like 6 times in a row. I'm like, I need to stop using that die.
You need to get that, what is it called? The dice jail. Have you seen those where you put the bad dice in there for a little bit and then hope it comes out good?
I have one die. I have so many die. It's not even funny. So the best die that I have, I actually use it for my games. I came to work one day. I was working at Verizon, and I sat down at my desk, and we used to move from store to store. So I was in a different store every day. And this one day, I just sat down at the desk, and I looked at the keyboard, and there was a pink D20. It was like a translucent pink D20. And I'm like, nobody that works here plays D&D. Like, I'd been there for a while. I'm like, I know nobody plays D&D. I was like, this is like a sign. So I took the die, and that thing rolls so well. I bring it everywhere with me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can crit on that one all the time. I'm like, it's my favorite die. It's like my lucky die. I came to work one day, and I picked it up, and I was like, it's going to be a good day.
Hey, that never happens to me. It's amazing. Well, Chris, thank you so much for taking time to talk to me about Crit and Homebrewed Heroes. Guys, if you want, I am telling you, you have 24 hours roughly. I think you have a little more. 2 days, 48 hours. You have 48 hours. 48 hours. Go to the Kickstarter. Links in the chat. The link is right there, right here. So go back this book. You won't regret it. As always, I'm Catherine, aka the High Heel Gamer, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Bye, everyone. Bye.